Good morning. Bom dia. Magandang umaga. Okay. I feel I should make some videos of stuff I'm doing because it's important for people like me who don't have a lot of money and they need to know how you get from A to B and how you use your own skills and learn stuff and whatever. And, I'm coming up against a few problems here with people and resources. So I'm going to explain how I'm going to get around that, and I will eventually get what I want. Okay, why is the tent like that? Because a few nights ago, I had a rainy day, and I was out during the day, and the tent got damp, so I put that tarpaulin thing over the top, and that's put an end to that. So that's the thing you got to watch. You know, when you're living in the wild, there are two rules I've got. One is don't ever get cold. And the other thing is don't ever get wet. Because certainly getting wet, thermal capacity of water is enormous. So trying to dry yourself out or your clothes or anything, it takes a lot. You're going to have to light a fire or all sorts of things. And if it's wet, then how are you going to do that? Okay, so let's take a look at the house. First of all, I have to cook in this doorway here, the doorway, because there's a risk of fire in Portugal and you really must not just get a spark anywhere, you know. So I figure if I cook in here, there's just nothing to set fire to. The whole place is made of stone. Okay, so there, from last year, all those boards that I put across that I was using, they're going to come up and be removed. Now at the back there, the key thing to remember is like it was a really difficult task for me to get these beams up. My friend Jamond and myself put the central beam up, and the other two were put up by me using block and tackle, which I got off Jamond. And because I didn't speak Portuguese last year, he didn't understand what it was I was after, and then finally he figured it out, and then he went, oh, and ran off and got the block and tackle. So now I've been able to do that, but this has been an immense task. I took that central beam is in, well, the far beam there is in position, and it's where it's supposed to be, accurately placed. This, the beam closest to us is intended to be the center beam, and the one in the middle will be slowly lifted and levered and everything over to a position in the center of here. Okay, so what happens with these beams are 5.6 meters long, which is within about an inch or two of the width of the internal width of the house. But unfortunately, at this point, maybe the house narrows a bit or something. There's about 2 inches that I've had to dig into the wall. So what I had to do is take out some loose stones at the bottom there, remove them, chisel away, still wouldn't go in, do a bit more, chisel away, still wouldn't go in, and eventually got that beam in position. It has to edge over to the position where that diagonal one is to replace it in the center, and then that one's home. And that entire process yesterday took me all day and all my energy, and I'm knackered again. So next thing is I've got to get that middle beam over and to the center of here, and then once that's done, we're finished. And I just need to roughly level them up. It's important to level them up, but not absolutely vital. They don't have to be down to the last centimeter or something. The reason being is there's a very thick floor. We're going to go over the top of this. So the idea is that I will lay in that direction, eucalyptus trees, which will run in that direction, across the beams. And those eucalyptus trees are they're going to be about 6 to 8 inches wide, and I'm going to just lie them down. I'm not going to process them, do anything at all. Buy them and put them here, and then the next time I come back they will be dry. I ideally don't want the bark removed. I don't want the bark. I know people say that they're difficult to remove the bark later. It isn't. There's a way to do it. And secondly, anyway, it's going to be machined off anyway. So the idea is I'll put these beams across here, and they will shrink and dry and whatever, and just lie there and mature. And not taking the bark off helps them to dry slowly so that they don't crack so much. And then the idea is to come back, lay them down properly, and on the bottom side you'll just skim off a little surface to make them all level, and they'll have a rustic veiny edge look on the bottom, like the Santa Fe style logs that you get in Santa Fe style houses. And on the top they'll be machined flat and cut with a circular saw, a hand circular saw, so that they all butt up against each other, and they'll just be butted up against each other. And possibly, I'm not sure, I would like this to be the case, I may be able to just lay them down without actually fixing them, without actually ever fixing the boards down by screwing them down or anything. Why is that good? Because if there's any shrinkage or movement or anything like that in the boards, I can simply push them along and slide in another board, because they will contract as they dry out. So that's a good thing. So once those beams go in, and hopefully if I can find some on this trip and get them laid, once those beams come in, you've actually got a floor. It's a weirdest looking floor. It'd be like walking across a rockery or something, because they'll all be round logs, but at least you have a floor, and an immensely strong floor at that. Now, some may say, well, first of all, let me mention these cross beams here. They are oak, nice bit of oak. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to cut those beams out. I previously wanted to keep them in the seams sound, but when I was working yesterday, this one here, there was movement when you were hitting it and it was rattling a bit. And you can see that they're starting to rot at the ends. And particularly that one over there has had a lot of water dripping on it over the years. It's been standing here for 55 years, neglected. And water's been dripping on it and it's rotten. And they've got woodworm and all sorts. So what do you do about that? You take them down, and they're visually quite obstructive. They're stuck in a lot of free space, so just get rid of them. Take them down, and then what you do with them? Well, I did have a plan, and I'll check and I'll see if there are any sound parts, and all the wormholes and this and that and the other don't matter, because what I can do is I can make a dining room table out of those, if I can get enough of the sound wood. So make a nice dining room table, which will be full of cracks and wormholes and this and that and the other, which I'll fill with coloured epoxy. It'll make it a great feature, but as a structural item, they're not very good. Although they've turned out to be a great blessing with the block and tackle at the minute. Okay, let's go down. Big doorway here to cover. So the plan was to speak to somebody about windows and doors and stuff. So I went to a metalwork company up at Penella. I went in and asked for the price of various things. And it's not bad, the cost of metal. When you consider, you know, you only need a few meters to go into a window. For a 36 meter long, very heavy angle iron strip, sorry, not 36, 6 metre long. It was 37 euros, which I think is really reasonable. So there's a certain irony in this, because I spoke to the guy, I sort of huffed and puffed to myself, and then I spoke to the guy there. There we are, we're inside now. And I said, how much would it cost to do these windows? So I've got 5 windows. I've got one, 2, 3, 4 windows and 1 door. And then 2 doors which are like window doors. What did I say? 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. The bottom doesn't matter because I fabricated those doors last year. And I'm not going to do the bottom of the house just yet. It's not an immediate problem. But anyway, I asked him and he said, oh, he's going to come. I said, well, I don't want to just sit there. So I will either be in the Tavern Maria Chita in the afternoon if I go for a beer, or I'll be in a house. He never showed up. He didn't show up. And he didn't show up at the Taverna Maria Chita. And that's it. So to hell with him. I'm not gonna chase him around. And this is a problem you have in Portugal, because what's happened is people have come down here and they're building things. So all the people who are doing stuff are all fully occupied and busy. Now, why that guy doesn't want 1,000 euros or God knows what, I don't know, but that's his business. And I'm just going to do it myself. So, what does that entail? Well, this is the problem you're all going to have if you come to Portugal. You come to Portugal, you can have a fistful of money, unless you're prepared to go to the extreme and really throw money around. You're going to come up against certain logistical challenges, which are that you you just can't get the staff. This is a problem they had with their empire. Fundamentally, just staff shortages. They didn't have enough people to man it. And you're not going to get the people to do the jobs. They're all going to be busy on other projects. And so where does that put you? Well, basically, you just got to pick up a hammer and get on with it and do it yourself. So if you don't possess those skills, I would suggest that you start learning fast. Now, there was a thing. I see things in media and people say stuff and they resonate with me, and I remember these things. Watching a TV show, the Waltons, and the father, not the father, one of his son-in-law was complaining about, like, I think they didn't really want to live with the parents-in-law, and they were getting a bit sick of it and whatnot. And so the father suggested, well, he said, why don't you go up on a Walton's Mountain and get that old place, this cabin thing, and convert that and prepare and live there, you know? And so the guy said, well, he said, that place is a mess. It's a wreck, you know. We can't live in that. It's what a total state that thing is, you know. What am I going to do to get that right? So Father Walton steps up from the dinner table, walks out the room, goes out the back, comes back in, and slings his toolbox on the table. And the guy says, that's your answer. And Walton looks at him and he says, yep, that's my answer. In other words, you just got to do it yourself. We have to get back, if we're gonna survive as a species, we're gonna have to get back to learning some skills, because we're far too interdependent on high-tech things and incapable of doing some simple things. A lot of people are very good at one task in their life, and if the whole system stops working, where do you go? My two sons, my two sons, I've always brought them up with that attitude to do things, and both of them are highly capable people. One of them is a physicist who's got like more work to do than he can take a stick at, and he's still fitting his own kitchen in his house. That's quite funny, that. I never thought of it like that. Okay, so let's have a look at our roof. What a daunting project that is. You know, at the minute, till I get some done. Okay, so let's just take a look at these beams from the bottom and see what I'm going to do. Okay, so we got the beams. These wooden beams will go, but not yet. It's all... Until I get more supporting stuff in here, I'm going to put a ring concrete beam round the top here and the one on the top of the roof. So until I put them in, I'll leave these wooden beams and they'll come out last. What I will do, I suggest anybody who does this, you get a couple of supports, one at either end. Don't just saw them out or they'll drop and they'll rive the wall to bits. A support at either end, cut through the beams and then drop them. Right, okay, about the concrete beams, I'm really pleased with these things. They give a sense of growing structure and a feeling that like something is coming to life, you know. It's an odd feeling, it's hard to explain. But before we just had this massive void here, and now we're starting to get enclosed, because soon what I will do is I will take those wooden planks over there and I'll place them across this part here, and I'll find any other wood that I can get my hands on, and I will clad the roof of this thing with bits and pieces of wood. Not even stuff that you can actually walk on, it doesn't matter. I'll clad it with so much stuff, and then what I'll do is I'll get the plastic sheet and place it on top. So then down here, we're now going to have a room, you know, like a whole sort of house below a house, if you think, or whatever you would call it, you know. And then I can bring the tent in here. I'll have to clean all this rubble out and everything, clean the place up. And, you know, otherwise I'm going to get some kind of lung disease or whatever. But clean the place all up. Clean. Oh, there's somebody outside there. Clean the place all up. I don't know if that's an important person, so I better check. Bom dia. Bom dia. He's not listening because he's got those earbuds in. He's listening to music. Never mind. Yeah, certain people who I need to see if they go past, I must catch them. Particularly the honey guy who I'm trying to buy the land off. Right, that's it. So as I say, the sheeting over the top, then I've got myself a room. Then I can put that door back on, and I can board the windows up. The last two windows here. These ones, I'd forgotten about the fact that they have shutters on. So I can leave those shutters on. In fact, you know, they're quite good looking, those shutters. I think I might keep those. They're so... Yes. I think a policy decision's just been made. Those shutters are staying. Wow. They're... I've never really seen that before, but a good slap of Danish oil and they'll look good. Man, they're hideous. They're so bad that they're good, you know. Right, so what I got to do here and over there in particular, and all the other windows, is create some windows which go on the outside, and And that one there, which is the door up the top, it's going to take about one length of angle iron and then another one on the inside. So you're looking at 37 euros twice, right? What's that? 74 euros. And that'll create the basic door and then an infill on the centre. Now, I've got hopefully some kids arriving, and a big sheet of glass that size, a safety glass, is going to cost a fortune. So what you do is you break it down into smaller, stiffer pieces and fit them. So how do you do that? Well, you put a design in. So now you've got to put some wrought iron structure in the middle and break it up. Now, what I thought would be absolutely fabulous is there's a thing called the Barcelos chicken, which is a symbol of Portugal. I think I'll put him in the middle of there, the giant chicken, with a look of surprise on his face because he's been raised from the dead. And a few bits of red glass in the hearts on his tail and all that stuff, without actually putting too much stuff in detail in there. That will spoil that beautiful view of the trees. And I think that'll do it. And it'll also make the door a lot stronger and stiffer. This one here, you'll be able to walk up to that, step out the thing, fall down and kill yourself, right? So let's not do that. Let's make it like not possible to accidentally do that. So the plan with this one is to split the window into two. The bottom part, which will not open, is just a barrier to falling out. And the top part, which will open outwards, which will let the fresh air in. And that's that. At the top, not set in stone yet, but possibly some Velux windows to let light in, including pointing south, which is an odd thing to do. But in the winter time, that will let in a lot of welcome light. And in the summer, you can put shades over them. People shy away from having south-facing skylights, but there's no harm in them if, so long as you can block the light in the summertime, because that light and that warmth is really welcome in winter. Although winter in Portugal is not winter in the UK. Okay, that's enough of that. And let's do another one when I've got some more stuff finished.